Your Highness, as an Iranian and #1 figure of the opposition to the Ayatollah's regime, with the latest developments of the situation between Israel and Hamas, do you fear the prospect of an open conflict between Iran and Israel, and even, I would even say, a third world conflict?
Well, given the circumstances, I'm not surprised that all of us should be quite concerned, particularly me as an Iranian, thinking of how this could have implication against my country. However, there is a solution to this conflict, and the best solution is to eliminate the real threat, which is the nature of the regime, in favor of a population that, contrary to the regime, does not want war, but seeks peace and good relationship with our neighborhood.
Do you think the Westerners have been gullible to the point of thinking they could engage with a terrorist regime which seeks the destruction of Israel?
In short, yes. Well, two things. First of all, an expectation of behavior change was flawed from the beginning. And second, appeasement has never worked. As a result, the regime has shown being more emboldened to continue more repression at home and more aggression abroad. Once again, if we shift the focus not on what is the root cause of the problem, but how to eliminate the problem itself, the only solution, if we want to avoid conflict and war and confrontation, is to have this regime no longer in place. That means a direct policy of support of the Iranian people, who are your natural allies. When I say our natural, I mean the Western free world, as opposed to a regime that from the very beginning was anti-Western, anti-democratic, and is the contrast between night and day.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has made it clear that it is seeking a nuclear arsenal. In your view, what is the best way to contain the regime's nuclear ambitions?
Well, I think the ultimate solution is to eliminate the finger on the trigger, which is the nature of the regime. Short, you have to increase more pressure. Every time there's been more pressure on the regime, it has backtracked on its virulent attitude. But the long-term solution is, again, the elimination of the regime itself, because no matter what, the regime is a threat because of its nature. You cannot transform a wolf into a sheep. It is in the DNA of the wolf to be a predator. This regime operates the same way. It has to ultimately export an ideology, and it has done that. The only solution is to have a democratic alternative to this regime, which is what the Iranian people seek. And as a result, you will have, in the spirit that democracies don't go at war with one another, a nation that would be committed to regional stability, would be committed to peace, with brotherly relationships with our neighborhood, whether it's the Arab world or the Israelis, because that's in our best advantage in terms of national interest. This regime doesn't care about Iranian interest, or for that matter, the people. It only seeks its own survival. With that rationale, it will use any means at its disposal to succeed, including nuclear weapons, if it had to. That's why we have to eliminate the problem by eliminating the regime. You're not going to do that through negotiation with it, or through appeasement, or through an expectation of behavior change.
In your view, Your Highness, what is the Islamic Republic's role in regional instability, and how does it affect prospects for normalization between Israel and its neighbors?
Well, I mean, the policy of the Khamenei has been neither war nor peace, meaning maintaining the ring of fire, which is really supporting his proxies, arming them, training them, financing them. As a result, you see October 7th and Hamas attack against Israel, or what the Houthis are doing in the region. This is all correlated. The contrast to that would be a nation that seeks stability. You know, I mentioned the fact that if we had a successful story until the regime sabotaged it with the Abraham Accords, add to it the Cyrus Accord, which includes Iran in that package, where all the neighborhood will work together in friendship and cooperation. That's the best way out of this quagmire. So short term, maximum pressure on the regime, but add to it, and parallel to that, maximum support for the Iranian people. The only way to avoid conflict and military sense is to seek the third way, which is supporting the Iranian people to get rid of this regime and instead bring about a nation that is truly represented by a democratic government. And our aspirations as a nation for human rights, for freedom, for democracy, and for brotherly relationship is the element that will change la donnée, as we say in French. And therefore will change completely the scenario and prospects of the near future and beyond.
A number of polls, Your Highness, place you by a wide margin as the most favored political personality inside and outside Iran. How do you respond to these numbers?
Well, I'm both humbled and proud as a result, knowing that there's so much respect and trust in me, which simply makes it more effective for me to play the role of a transitional leader and help the process of change in Iran by bringing about an end to this regime and then facilitate a process where democratically we will be able to choose our future and our destiny. And that's the role I intend to play, and I've always said that I will do that, and therefore it appears that now there's even more impetus and more moral obligation on me to perform that role.
So when can we expect Reza Pahlavi in Tehran?
As soon as our country is liberated. I'd like to be among my fellow compatriots and be able to start rebuilding our country and help it come back to the fold of the free and modern progressive world.